sage is where your journey begins. Our shells are stacked high where the magic never ends. From dice that roll through the tones ancient and wise, we got all the essentials for your game to arise. With adventure in mind, we craft every piece to make your campaign flourish, your stories increase. For every RPG dream, our stories refine. Come find it at quest, leave the money behind. Epic sages is where you find satisfaction. We bring the spark, you bring the passion. We control the board, you control the action. Epic sages, where legends find traction. Epic sages, where legends find traction.
Hello?
Can either of you guys hear me?
Now I hear you.
Hey,
Can you hear me?
now I can. Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's get the party started.
All right, can you hear me now? I am so sorry for that. I slapped the hell out of my headphones and they decided to just take a dive off a short cliff. We're up. We're here. Hello. As per
Hello.
usual, technical issues are
Greetings.
star of the show. Well,
How you doing tonight?
fan freaking tastic at this point. Well, let's get into it. Welcome to tonight's episode 5-26. We are joined by two fantastic guests. We should have a third, maybe, if he decides to show up. Wahaha. I haven't heard anything from him, so he might just be sleeping. We'll see. But starting off on first one on my box here, Mike. Mike, who are you? What do you do? Where can people find you?
There we go. Hey, sorry. Audio's glitching for some reason.
I
Hi.
don't know where that is. Hey, there he is.
Yeah, I'm back. Um, So I am a neurology consultant and basically help people make the parts of their brain that are underperforming work better and the parts of their brain that are overperforming calm down. And uh, I teach in person and online and have courses at visiontraining.com and ADHDadvantage.com.
Fantastic. All right, next up we got Stewart. Stewart, who are you? What do you do? What's all your fun stuff?
All my fun stuff. I work a lot in the entertainment industry. I host a radio show. I host a cable TV show that's seen in more than one country. I'm an actor, musician, composer. I've had my songs used in films. And to make my life interesting, I work as a celebrity impersonator, impersonating the New York City radio disc jockey Howard Stern.
Fantastic. Hey, speaking of, just before we get started, what'd you think of the intro song before all the technical issues slapped me in the face?
I liked it.
Sweet. Scott, we can hear you. We can kind of see you. Can you hear and see us? Maybe, perhaps.
I just see a symbol at the bottom of the screen. I don't hear or see him.
Oh, okay. I see him. He's in the
Nope.
chat room. Yeah, he's up on speaker. You just gotta turn on his video. There he goes. There he is.
Goodness.
Aha.
Gentlemen, hello.
Hello.
Good to be here.
Who are you?
I
Where can people find you? All that fun
misremembered.
stuff.
So
do you do,
apparently
Scott?
I misunderstood or misremembered the timing. I thought that it was at what would be 11 my time, and it turns out it's at 10 my time. So I am very late. and
Daylight
I am
savings time.
Very regretful for that.
It's all good. You were not the only one that had that problem today.
Oh God.
Where are you
Oh,
located,
God.
Scott?
I am in East Tennessee. It's a lovely place. I'm out in Knoxville. I love it. It's a good time.
Nice.
But yeah, I completely misunderstood and didn't remember, and I was like, "Oh shit!" I knew it was tonight. I remembered it was tonight, but it was like, "Oh wait, okay,
I visited Nashville about a dozen years ago for a film festival.
Nice.
it's a good place. Lots of good music."
Oh,
Listen.
and how?
Right. All right. So, Scott, before we get too far forward, we need to know who you are and what you do, because that's half the fun of being here.
Yes. Hello. I am Scott Rust. I brand myself as a mental mechanic because I am a certified hypnotherapist. I am an NLP practitioner. I am a preacher's kid and a storyteller and a game master. And I just help people with a lot of different things, whatever they've got going on in their brain, because we all tell ourselves stories, and some of those stories we were told when we were little are still good lessons, and some of them got a little bit outdated when we grew up, and some people learn to teach themselves new stories, and some people still need to be taught instead, you know?
Fantastic
Sure.
way to put it. And where can people find you?
I have a website. It's scotticus.com. That's SCOTTICVS, because I'm weird. And
That's okay. We
it's,
like weird on here.
Yeah, it's a holdover from the high school nickname, but you know.
We do
I am
know.
Scotticus. I am Scotticus. I am Scotticus.
That's too funny. All right. We're going to get into the first question that we ask everyone at the start of every show. And it is, when I say the title, what's the first thing that pops in your head? So tonight's title is Do I Want to Kill Him or Support Him? Right? The duality of the GM. So first bit, do I want to kill him or support him? Mike, what's the first thing that pops into your head when that title's said?
Oh man. Sophie's Choice.
Okay, all right. I like that. Solid answer. All right. Jumping over to Stewart.
Not so much with kids, but with people who are playing, who you're like, do I want to vindictively take his people out or take his character out, or do I want to help him?
That's funny. All right. What about you, dear friend Stewart?
Well, maybe this ain't the right show for it, but the first word that pops into my mind, Donald Trump.
An interesting political take. All right. Everyone's going to have their feelings about that one, that's for sure.
Great so. I mean, I'm not trying to not going to start a political discussion, but you said what's the first thing that comes to my mind, and unfortunately, that's the frame of mind I'm in, and I'd
That's
much rather be in a different frame of mind.
well, fantastic. We'll talk about that in a bit,
Yeah, it's hard to get out of that frame sometimes. I know
right?
that
Thank
feeling.
you.
Scott, what about you? What's the first thing that popped into your head when we said it?
Or question mark?
Or third option, option number 3, please. I do not want to kill them or support them. Okay, that's funny.
My brain always thinks no, or that's and.
That's funny. Okay, so in for me, first thing that pops in my head as the DM is always that struggle of wanting your players to succeed and challenging them at the same time, right? You want to throw them in situations where they feel like they're in danger, but also you want them to succeed and win. Kind of like being a parent, right? Some of you can confirm on this. You want your kids to do dangerous stuff safely, right? Because that's where they grow and learn. Scott, you can probably talk on this in a little bit when we get to the questions for you. But that's where my frame of reference comes from. A lot of it is how do you want to get to those points? And a
Pity the parents
TTRPG.
of an astronaut.
Say what?
Pity the parents of an astronaut, huh?
Hey, hoping one of these someone's got to get off the planet. Uh, so we're gonna actually start with you, Stuart, for the first question here. So when you are working on your shows, right, and you're doing the entertainment stuff, how do
Yeah.
you make sure that you are finding the right people to support instead or disencourage, right? How do you determine what you're going to do with the people you work with? What is your elimination process for how you support or try to eliminate other people that you don't want to work with?
Uh, it all revolves around reputation and censorship.
Okay.
If there's a lot of filth in the music, I can't air it. Uh,
Okay.
and a lot of the behind the scenes backgrounds, like they say if they're friendly with you, it's always helps to be friendly with the DJ, and if they're bad mouthing you, well then it wouldn't make sense. I mean, yeah, it wouldn't make sense to promote someone who works against you.
Okay. That's a very valid point, and I'll come back to that later. Okay, I like that answer. Scott, jumping over to you really quick. When you're working with your clients and your friends, right? How do you determine what they need to downgrade in their life, or what stories they need to amplify? Right? How do you support the good and get rid of the bad? What's your process on that one?
It's a twofold kind of interwoven idea. They're going to come to the table with their own ideas about the things that they want to play, the things that they want to work on, the things that they need help with, and I'm going to sit and listen, and I'm going to hear all of that, and then, much like my improviser skills, I'm going to sit back and say, yes, and we're also going to make this change, or, and change it again, because it's like, well, hold on, that's one story that you think we need to work on, but also, what about this other thing that you just said? You said that you really don't want to deal with any of this other stuff from your childhood, and that's fine. Like, okay, let's not. But also, you still have this pain in the ass boss that you're still working for and dealing with, and you hate it every single day, but you're going every single week, and you have been for how many years? Oh no, that sounds like that needs to be the thing we work on.
Fantastic. Okay, interesting. Jumping over to Mike. Mike, on your end of things, right? When you're dealing with the neuro side of things, right? There's a lot of stuff that you have to figure out on the how to handle with the getting rid of or supporting. What's your process for kind of sorting those baskets for you?
Well, it really depends on the person. Most people come to me and they've got defined problems or what they think are their problems, similar to what Scott said, and I'll look at how their body moves, and from the way that their body moves, a lot of times I can tell which parts of the brain are underperforming or overperforming, and help them to regulate them.
Okay.
And the end result oftentimes is that they get the result that they were looking for. They take care of the problem that they came to me with, but sometimes it's fixing completely different things.
Interesting, right? Yeah, because like everyone's kind of said, it's kind of a case by case basis. Going back to what Stewart said, the you don't fuck with the DJ, right? You got to support the people that are trying to help you. And with your guys' stuff, both you and Scott, people are going to come with you because they want to change, right? They're generally, you're not seeking them out and dragging them into your office most days. Most days, right? Sometimes you got to do that with people, but those are the ones you have to support and or kill, right? Uh, on the TTRPG side of things, we jump into the support versus kill mentality, and that's really what, as an experienced DM that I've been playing for a long time, is what defines a good DM and a bad DM, right? A bad DM is the DM that is going to try and kill you, right? You, at the end of the day, good DMs support their players on a basic level, right? Now, are you going to try to kill them because monsters are fun to fight off and all those fun things? Yes, of course. But at the end of the day, the story that you're telling can't be told without other people, right? If you're telling a story by yourself, you're writing a book. And as fun as that is, that's not what we're here to do most of the time. Jumping into our second question, and this time I'm going to start with Scott. Scott, on that kind of note, when you have to quote unquote kill somebody in your setting, right? How do you do so, right? How do you get rid of someone that is in your setup? How do you take them out of your circulation, right?
Now, when you say that, there are three different possible opportunities and options for what you might be asking me. Are
Okay.
you asking about my NPCs? Are you asking about my PCs? Or are you asking about a player at the table that's having a problem? Those are all different answers.
Those okay. Well, you know what? Give me the quick and easy on all three.
Okay. Well, when it's one of my NPCs, I'm pretty quick to be like, cool, I don't care, and I will get rid of them, because if they need to get gone, then the players have already killed them, and I don't have to be attached to that at all. It doesn't matter if it's the minion or the big bad evil guy, whoever that is, if they do it and they get it right, they're gone. It's axed. We move on. If it's a player character, I try to give it a little bit of, like, importance or significance. I want to make it a big deal in the story, but I also remember that death is not necessarily the end in these games and in these worlds, because if they want to get that character back, that's okay. That just becomes this side quest for the next 3 episodes of like, yeah, okay, you're gonna have to go find an artifact that's gonna let you resurrect them, you're gonna have to go to the plane of existence to get their soul back, and you're gonna have to negotiate with their god, because they've done a good job and they're supposed to have paradise now. All this other kind of stuff that goes into it. It's like, hey man, they died. There's gonna be consequences for that. When it's a problem player instead, that has to be handled above table and out of game, and either they will listen and hear those criticisms and be able to be part of the group, or they won't. And then we change the schedule and don't let them know.
Rough. That's a way to do it, because schedules kill everybody, right? It's the worst thing in the business. Mike, jumping over to you. Same kind of question. When you have to quote unquote kill something in one of your clients or kill something about them, how do you go about doing that tactfully?
Kill might be a strong word.
Probably, but we're sticking with the theme, dang
That I
it.
do with clients. I try and present a logical option for them to self-select.
Okay.
And make the decision on their own.
Okay. Logical options, powerful.
Basically using Socratic questioning and leading and getting them to come to the conclusion that I would like them to come to, with as little conflict as possible, and if conflict is necessary, it's necessary.
Okay. And so don't be afraid of conflict when you're trying to get to a solution. That's a powerful way to get to things. Stewart,
You can't be.
You can't be. Okay.
If you're afraid of conflict, then it's going to cause you to make bad choices.
That is an excellent point, and I love that. Put that on a t-shirt immediately. Stewart, jumping over to you, right? In the context of killing people on the radio, how do you how do you handle that well, right? How do you tactfully deal with people that are just like annoying the hell out of you? You're on your radio show and someone just yabbering the whole time and just getting in your way. How do you kill that persona so you can push forward with what you're doing?
I insert something intelligent into the conversation.
Ooh, okay. All right. I like that.
It catches them off guard, and sometimes it inspires them, and they pick up on it, and they go along with it.
Okay, cool. Insert something intelligent into the conversation. That'd be fun to throw at a table. Okay. So on that line, what about when the ones that don't get the hint, don't get the hint?
Hmm. Well, then it's the old. Well, let's go to commercial.
Solid. Okay, I like that. Sometimes you just gotta step away. And then when you're in the commercial, behind the scenes, do you yell at them and tell them to GTFO, or do you politely explain that they're being a jackass and need to stop it?
I politely. It's not so much politely. It's straightforwardly.
Okay, straightforward, good. Like we said, conflict is
It-
important.
This is right. That is not right. The audience expects this, and we have to do what the audience expects.
Okay, gotta do what the audience expects. All right, interesting. Um,
Clear
Sweet.
communication of expectation is very helpful, both
It-
in the gaming table and in all other contexts of life.
Clear
That's
commu-
the
Exactly.
point.
yes,
A key factor in any relationship is open communication.
yes,
I
and
mean, a lot of people, a lot of people, too many times I come across people who they'll say one thing and they expect you to say something else, and then that's when they say what they mean, or they say one thing, they expect you to say something else, and as you're saying something else, that's when you're supposed to realize what they really mean. I mean, I catch the drift, but for me, that's just too inefficient.
gotcha. It's a big thing in our company is setting up expectations ahead of time, right, and being able to have clear and concise communications to people. So I agree with both of you quite thoroughly. Jumping into the next fun topic, and we're actually going to start with you, Stuart, since you were the last one last time. Wahaha. On the positive side, when you're supporting people, what about when you're dealing with someone who's at your show or doing your stuff, and they're just super shy and can't get what they're trying to say out? You know, whether they're just camera shy, or in this case, what do you call someone who's camera shy on radio? Just a side question there.
Uh, well, what I find works best for me when I talk to other musicians and they don't know what to say, I'm a musician. I simply ask the musicians the questions that I, as a musician, want to be asked when I'm on someone else's show.
Okay, fantastic. I
And,
like
and
that.
I get a lot of good responses. I get a lot of good answers, lots of more than ones I've heard, quote unquote, I've never said that before. I never answered that question before, or that question's never been put to me before.
You know what? Being able to ask yourself the hard questions is also is a powerful tool for communication, like we talked about, right? When you're setting up those expectations, being able to great form of leadership. Expecting others to do what you can do yourself, right? Or not expecting others that you can't do yourself. It powerful form of moving people. Going back to the Socratic logical getting people to where you want to be, it's really easy to get to those questions when you know that you can do the things first. So I think that's the in line pretty well. Jumping over, Scott, jumping to you next on this one. What about you when you're supporting people and they are having a hard time getting past their stories, quote unquote? How do you get them to the next step? How do you support them?
Well, one of the biggest pieces is always knowing which tool is the right one for the job. There's lots of different techniques and lots of different ways to go about it. So, anytime somebody feels like they're really stuck, I tend to move to a different perspective. I try to shift them out of first person into third,
Mhm.
or I try to zoom out a bit and be like, okay, cool, we're stuck here. That's fine. That's right now. Where were you 20 minutes ago? Where do you want to be in 2 hours? What happens next? Because this moment, whatever it is, no matter how much you don't like it, it's not going to be forever. Change happens. That's going to be inevitable. So, what was happening before this that was okay? Or what do you want to have happen after this that will be better? Because then, if you can move them towards that reward, people tend to be very reward motivated. We like to have the thing that we want. So, if we can get past whatever the pain point is, this little sticky moment, we're going to get to something good and it'll be okay.
Stuart, you look like you have something to add.
No.
Oh, okay. Mike, jumping over to you then, because I think that was a fantastic answer. On your end of things, how do you when you latch on to an idea that you want to expand and on the neurological side when you're trying to get things set right, how do you support them into latching on themselves? Right, we talked about the negative ways and getting rid of stuff. How do we amplify something that they're doing good?
Uh, I lost audio for part of that. Do you mind
Oh,
saying
okay.
that again?
Of course,
Asking
yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
again?
So when you're supporting someone and getting them to latch onto a positive thing that they're already doing, how do you support them in a way to exemplify that standard or what they're doing to kind of tweak things in a positive direction? Instead of getting rid of something, how do you amplify something that's already there that they're doing good?
Yeah, the biggest thing that I do is try and find out what their motivators are. So, what is the reason why they're trying to make change? And keep bringing things back to the outcome that they're looking to get, and connect taking small incremental action with the big outcome that they want. And it's basically we look at that carrots and sticks. It's giving us some pretty big carrots, and if I need
Okay.
to, show them the other side of it. Show them, okay, what's going to happen if you don't do this? What's going to
Mm.
happen if you keep doing what you've been doing? Do you have any reason to expect a different outcome? And try to get them uncomfortable with the situation they say that they don't like, and comfortable with doing what they need to do to get the outcome that they want.
Okay, interesting. So when we apply that to a TTRPG, I think an easy way to apply that is like candy at the table, right? Killing goblins or bad guys. If you want your players to be getting rid of enemies, right? Turn the pieces that you're playing it with at the table to candy pieces. When they get a kill, they get a piece of candy. You will suddenly see that all things are solved with violence. It's a great thing to experiment with. Not always the best choice, but alternatively, you could change that to where the thing at the table is something you know your players don't like, or specifically one player doesn't like peanuts. Make sure you bring some peanuts to change that if that's the silly style you're doing, right? It's a fun
Now I
modification.
understand the
I was
popularity
thinking
of
of
online video games.
Say that again.
Now I understand the popularity of online competitive video games.
No one feeds you peanuts when you're not paying attention. That's the fun of being at table,
I was
right?
thinking of having bad guys that are a mix of red vines and licorice, and
Hey,
say
that could be fun.
which ones get attacked first. And
You know what? That's a fun experiment to try. I'll have to try that next time I do a kids table because playing with the kids and doing that, I think they get a kick out of it. Okay, so we've talked about killing off positives. We've talked about killing off negatives and supporting positives, right? When we work on finding the good mix of both, right? How do you guys? And this is just an open question. I'll get to you all individually in a second. But how do you guys? Uh, know that you are at where you need to be? What is the biggest sign when you're working with your people that you are at the place you want to be at? Right? Starting with Mike on this one, since you were our last talker last time. How do you know that your person is where they need to go, or at least they're on the right path? Because I know with a lot of our stuff, it's a continual process that you have to keep and be active with. But normally, how do you get to that point where you're like, good, this is it?
yeah, with a lot of what I do with neurology, the results they happen within minutes or seconds. And so one of the patterns that I use is assess, do a drill, and reassess. And by doing that, we have objective data very, very quickly on whether or not what we're doing is making the brain happier or putting it into more of a threat state. And the happier we make it and the lower the threat state is, the better outcomes we get in general.
Interesting. Okay. So, I mean, kind of to expand on that before I push on to everyone else. Uh, so the most positive change comes from a safe, happy place, is kind of where you're saying it. Once they get past the dangerous upset point.
Well, I'll give you an example.
Okay.
Um, do you want to do a drill quick and see
Of
how
course.
one way that
Yes.
this works?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So lean back, try not to move your shoulders, and turn your head back and forth 5 or 10 times, and kind of feel what the range of motion is, how comfortable that is, how loud it is, if it's crunchy or not,
My neck's in good
and
condition.
how comfortable the speed feels.
Okay.
And then grab the tops of your ears and pull up and
I
forward.
gotta be. Can I do this with a
5 or 10.
microphone so I can still hear you?
Straight up
Okay. We're doing one ear because I need to be able to
5
hear
or
what you're
10
saying.
times. Up and back 5 or 10 times. Down and back 5 or 10 times. And straight down 5 or 10 times. And then reassess it. And about 60% of people, and I'll do it one-on-one. About 60% of people see an immediate improvement in range of motion, a reduction in crunchiness, and an increase in safe speed. So the
Really?
neck tension relaxes, and they're able to move their neck more. And what that is the brain, when it's in a threat state, it holds residual tension, and the neck and traps are a very common place to hold residual tension. And if we can release that tension, it convinces the brain that the threat level is lower than it was moments earlier. So
Interesting.
that
Okay.
unlocks other things.
All right. Cool. Well, that's pretty fun.
I'm just
We'll,
curious,
So
we'll,
I'll do
we'll
that
get that.
with
Go ahead. Finish your statement, and then we'll see what Stewart wanted to say.
yeah, I'll do that with depending on what areas of the brain I see people are having struggles with. Drills like that, or do an assessment, do a drill, do a reassessment. And as long as we keep lowering the threat level in the brain, we keep seeing increases in performance in whatever it is that we're trying to measure.
Okay, that's pretty cool. I mean, especially because we can go back and look at that later. Stewart, you had a question. What you got?
To the neurologist, what is your view on chiropractic? Because some of that, what you're saying, reminds me a little bit of some of the things that I've learned by going to a chiropractor once in a while. What's your view on chiropractic?
So there's a very tight mesh between neurology and chiropractic. One of the things that happens with chiropractic is it's called parking lot syndrome, where somebody will go in, get an adjustment, everything will be perfect, and by the time they get out to the parking lot and get into their car, whatever problem they had when they went into the chiropractor, they're back again. And the reason for this is because parts of the brainstem might be holding residual muscle tension. And so one side of the brain is continually being flexed, and the other side is continually underflexing. And so what the chiropractor just did to straighten stuff out, that uneven tension causes it to come out of alignment very quickly. So when we do both neurology and chiropractic in quick succession, either neurology before chiropractic or chiropractic before neurology, what we end up with is changes that last much, much longer, and they're more stable.
Interesting. I mean, applying that to a TTRPG style of things, it sounds like that. You know, when you have a player that keeps going back to the same actions, regardless if they're playing the same characters or not, every single time might be holding some of the same keys, quote unquote, as the muscle memory stuff. So that's kind of interesting. Stuart, jumping over to you now. Same kind of question for you. When you get to your zenith, where you want to be, right? When you decide, hey, this person is in a good spot, how do you decide that?
Well, as I mentioned before, when I relate to them and they get a chance to say things that they realize they never said before, that's when I know I have them into a good flow. And after they realize that they never said this before, well, that's when they're caught off guard. So then I'll start with a good story of mine that kind of relates to the same subject.
Mm-hmm.
That gives their mind a chance to fall back and regroup.
Okay, I feel that.
And then when I keep it short, and then I let them go back to doing what they're doing with the next story.
Solid. And you know what? That's a fun tactic to get people at your tables that are not so loud and obnoxious, we'll say politely, and getting them to speak and whatnot is giving them a chance to tell their own stories, right? To take their own turns, right? And not have you direct them continuously. Continue. You look like you have something to add on.
No, it's a lot of people that they think once they get you to say something that they have to interrupt you to maneuver you into saying a certain type of thing, and that's what frustrates most people.
Mm.
Let them talk, and from a psychiatric point of view, that's when you start to get some answers.
You know, they say silence is powerful, right? One of the things I'm learning with my kiddos, because I have little ones, is it's really important to let them babble, right, and not talk for them all the time, especially when you get to the point when they're trying to talk. And it's really fun to see them like get that 10 seconds of okay, I've processed what you've said, and then they do their best to respond. It's wonderful to watch.
A quote from the Dalai Lama that I like to repeat once in a while. He said, "Sometimes silence is the best answer."
Mm.
It's a good quote.
It's,
All right, Scott, jumping over to you. Going back to the big question here. When you are working with your people via your storytelling and whatnot, how do you get to a point where you're like, this person is in a good spot? I either don't have to touch what they're doing or minimal adjustments as we move forward.
So part of the fun of being a hypnotherapist is seeing the moment that shifts from being very active and conscious mind to being very subdued and subconscious mind, where it's just like, oh yeah, no, I see the lights have started to dim, you know? It's like, oh yeah, no, they're not still on the same way. They're really relaxed, they're really kind of out, and they start to slump in the chair a bit, and it's great. So when you see the signs, all of the little things that I've been taught to look for, all of the little motions and little notices of like, ah, look, the breathing has slowed and it looks like the heart rate's going down. I'm not like actively monitoring, but you know, it's really easy to tell when people are starting to shift into that low gear where it's like, all right, now we can roll for a good long while, and I'm just going to keep rolling on, and they're going to keep listening, and nobody has to worry about anything because we're just going to chill. It's a very
Interesting.
fun time.
Now, as a side question, how do you apply that to your table when you get them kind of in that chill state? Do they continue to play games with you, or is it kind of a different vibe from there on out?
Oh no, the game goes on and is excellent because then it's even easier for them to remember all of the things that I've said when I'm giving the narration, but it really becomes that moment of their brain shifts back to the game when I look at them, make that dead eye contact and say, "So what do you want to do?" Because when it's their turn and they suddenly realize, oh no, I have to narrate back. Oh wait, oh hold on, and all of a sudden they spin right back up into that almost like panic mode of like, oh right, I've got to take turns. Hold on, and that's very fun to see because I get to look at that and be like, yep, it's your turn. Here we go. We're gonna see what you do with it.
Nice, Mike. You look like you have some add-ons there.
So I got a question on that, if it's all right.
Yeah. Ask away.
Scott, and this may be getting too far into the weeds, but if you're pacing and leading, are you like aiming for low alpha, high theta, uh, or just uh, what's the goal? If
That
if that's an
is a
easier way to ask it.
question. That is a question at the level that you can answer that I cannot because I haven't studied your field to that extent. I know that the words do work, but the levels and brainwaves and all of the patterns, I don't have an EKG machine or an MRI machine. I don't know. I don't know. What I know is what I'm looking for, and what I'm looking for is the moments where it feels like the flow is there. They're listening well and they're responding well, and we're in good rapport and we're able to keep going because whatever I'm saying, they're enjoying listening enough that they're like, yeah, okay, we're going to keep going and we're not going to argue with you about it because it sounds like it's true or it's believable enough and it's right enough to be like, yeah, okay, let's keep going. We'll see what happens. And the more they agree, the more they get easier to go deeper, the more it gets easier to figure out exactly what the issue really was, and then to figure out how to remove that and say, cool, the blockage is gone, let's keep going.
Now you bring up flow state, and I'm gonna kind of shift this over to Stewart really quick, right? Because flow state is a term they use in music quite a time when you're kind of just jamming, right? Can you explain what that means for you as a musician when you hit a quote unquote flow state?
Relieving and relaxing, and maybe some psychiatrists might call it some type of psychosis.
Mm.
But it's psychosis that you like to go along with. It's just some type of release. Um, if you hit a bad note, so what? Just keep doing it. Just keep going along. And and if everybody's in the same frame of mind, someone will come up with something better, and that just increases the dopamine. That's a new word now, dopamine.
Okay, cool. Because I know for us in the TTRPG field, right, is there is that flow state when you get into the acting side of things where people just start bouncing off of each other, where you kind of just
Exactly.
you hit character, right? You hit who you are trying to pretend to be for a little bit, and things just flow, and you can have 5 to 10 minutes of just fantastic acting from everyone at the table. Everyone who's contributing story is just so who they're supposed to be that it feels great, right? And knowing about flow state stuff, right, from a musical standpoint, like it has that exact same feel, except for you are playing an elf or a dwarf or whatever the heck you're playing for the day, right?
Yeah.
And like this is a question for all of you, so I'm going to redirect it at you one by one here. But how does that state feel for you personally? What is the descriptor you would use when you hit your own flow state when you're working with people, right? When you're doing it to yourself, right? Because as creators, we all do it to ourselves to make sure it works first, generally, right? Sometimes not so much, but we try, right? What is that feeling for you guys? And I'm going to start with Scott on this one. Scott, how do you what does it feel like when you're in that low point that everything is relaxed and you're not quite hypnotized by yourself, but it's close?
Oh, sometimes I do self sessions, and those are very fun. So there's two
Mhm.
different answers for that. There's the self sessions where I feel this tingle in my fingers, and I'm very still, and it would look to the world as if I am taking a nap or have died, and I'm just barely there. But everything in my brain is in rhythm and is in harmony, and it feels like the conductor is waving the baton and I'm back in band class, and every piece is working perfectly. Everybody is playing the right notes, everybody is on the same rhythm, we are in concert, and it is great. And then in the gaming space instead, it's a lot more of that thrill where the heart is racing, the lungs are taking really big deep breaths of just really good air, where it's like, oh, I am ready and it is awesome and I am rocking it. And um, there's a slight variation on that comes from the time in acting where it feels a lot like I am back on stage and the spotlight just came on and I have a Shakespeare monologue to read, and either I remember all of the words and it goes perfectly smoothly, or I am in true panic of just like, oh god, what was it again? To be or no wait. It's it's great. It's an incredible intense feeling which makes it so much more vivid
Okay,
for
more
lack of
vivid.
any other
Ooh,
word.
I like that descriptor. Everything feels more vivid, right? There's more colors in the universe for those 10 seconds. Jumping over to Stuart, same question to you. When you hit your own flow state, when things are going good, what does it feel like for you? You kind of described it a little bit earlier, but like when it happens to you and not someone else, what is the feeling you get?
A very big relief.
Okay.
All of a sudden, all inhibitions, all things that are stopping it just simply gone away. A friend of mine told me that it seems to him that I'm most happy when I'm on stage on guitar. He says I turn into a completely different person. But this is an interesting thing that happened to me. I'd like to share this with Scott. One time, somebody asked me if I knew how to play a certain song, and I knew that I once knew how to play it, but I couldn't quite figure out how to do that. And I don't know why, but I closed my eyes. I put my hand on the neck of the guitar, and I just started strumming, and the chords that I was supposed to hold on guitar came out of muscle memory. I played the entire song with my eyes closed, but I sang it, playing it properly, even though I realized I didn't know how to play it.
You know,
The power of the subconscious mind, my friend. It was still in there. You didn't
Yes.
forget.
No,
Yeah.
You didn't
but I
recall it
just,
consciously, but you knew it. It was in there.
yeah,
I love it.
yeah.
Oh, I love
I
it.
close my eyes. In fact, sometimes when I'm working out in the gym, I do that too. I close my eyes when I work out because it just the sight of myself in that mirror on the side of the wall that breaks my concentration.
I was gonna say, bringing up playing music that you don't necessarily remember. It's funny whenever I pick up a trumpet, the one song I can play at any point without thinking about is America the Beautiful. Right, that for whatever reason that one clicked in my head forever because I had to play it 4 billion times as a kid. And yeah, that's one of those. I've give me sheet music. I'm gonna forget all the notes and letters, but I can play that song on the trumpet. Right, I can play Halo on the cello. Those are the two songs I got in my brain for some reason. Uh,
I just know the scale on trumpet.
hey, look, if I could get that these days, I'd be happy with it.
Da, 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 da,
Uh,
da.
I was gonna say the
There
the
you go.
the trumpet I have currently at the house is one of the valves is just busted, so it doesn't work. So I only got two things that are good to go. I gotta get that fixed one of these days. Anyway, side silly note. Jumping over to Mike. When we're doing again the self diagnostic and getting to our own flow state, how would you describe when you hit that spot for you?
It flow state or the zone. I didn't know what it was called for years, but it's been a passion of mine for 30 years, figuring out how to anchor it and trigger it on command, and how to teach people to do the same. And it's you know, a lot of people consider flow state to be the the best version of us,
Okay.
and it's fleeting because it the metabolic cost of flow state is kind of high. We've got to have downtime beforehand. It helps to have a little bit of chaos ahead of time, but it flow state in and of itself uh, will and can heal a lot of issues going on in the brain. It
Interesting.
helps us to put past traumatic events at specific points on a timeline instead of floating and thinking that it could happen at any time. It helps people work through emotions, and especially for people with anxiety, the transient hypofrontality, where the parts of the prefrontal cortex where we doubt and are overemphasizing the future consequences of current actions, they kind of get turned down, and we get to just go with it for a while. And absolutely amazing. For me, one of the things that happens a lot of times, depending on the situation, is I'll switch from first person to third person, where
Okay.
I'll go from looking out at an audience or performing in an athletic event and seeing things from my head to seeing myself performing and making uh, it's bizarre. I'm able to see other things that I wouldn't be able to see from my own eyes, and it's just because of the fact that subconsciously I've seen things, and I may not be able to see them now, but my subconscious can predict what happened between the time when I did see them and now, and fill in the gaps.
Interesting. Side
And
question, just
during flow state,
not to
yeah, yeah,
not to interrupt you really quick, but are you dyslexic by chance, or were you at some
oh
point?
yes, it
Okay.
was it was it had to do with eye motor control and coordination. It wasn't actual dyslexia, but
Okay.
a lot of people who get diagnosed with dyslexia actually have eye alignment and eye coordination issues.
That makes sense. Uh, I blame it on the fact that I just can't spell to save my life, but you know. But anyway, so I asked that because that state you talked about, where you go into the third person and kind of see the things around you, is something that has been described before in like a because dyslexic people are able to make 3D models essentially of environments around them when they're going through their imagination. So it's an interesting state of being that dyslexics have an advantage for some reason. We can't spell to save our life, but if you need us to make a 3D model of something, we might be able to do it pretty well.
What you
Uh,
said reminded me of myself, the way I evolved as a stage musician. Maybe I was just too self-conscious when I first started, but initially I found it easier. I would just look over everybody's heads instead of the people looking at me. I mean, I've heard about like Bruce Springsteen, for example. They asked him how did he get over stage fright. He says, "Well, just look at one person in the audience, and that's the person he'll sing to for the rest of the night." Um, Initially, like I said, it's just the idea of people staring at me, but I just look over their heads, and then eventually I evolved to where I now I'll look at different people at different points at different songs, like if I think that line will click with them, type of thing.
Interesting. Okay, I don't think I've heard that, but I believe it from Springsteen, to be honest. And that kind of is funny to speak about, right? Because Scott brought this up relatively earlier, of switching from first person to third person perspective, right? And how that can kind of readjust people and get them in the right headspace. So being able to look at yourself objectively, we'll say, is a powerful tool, especially if we're going to jump into our TTRPG set of things, right? You're constantly doing that with your character, right? You are almost always in third person until you have to speak or do things, and then, hey, look, I'm in the mini's head, right? I'm at the table. I am this person for a second. So TTRPGs kind of amplifying that ability to go from third person to first person is fun, to say the least, and sometimes second person if you can figure out how to get second person right.
Sure.
He said, they said, I heard. But jumping on to one of our last couple questions for tonight, right? When we are past the flow state, we're past what we need to kill and what we need to support, and we are getting to the point where we are making the decisions on those things, right? What is the worst experience you've had at doing that? Before maybe you got good at what you did, do you have a standout experience that you just failed terribly at doing both those objects? Where you just what was your learning point for getting to the point where you know what needs to get quote unquote killed and what needs to be quote unquote supported? I'll give you guys a couple seconds on this one. I can go with mine really quick while you guys are thinking about yours. But from a TTRPG perspective, I was playing a system called that over here, Legend of the Five Rings. I was doing a Legend of the Five Rings game forever ago, and I realized that I had made the people focus on the mechanical aspects super duper hard, where those were super unimportant, right? The game was not meant to be mechanically focused. It is, right, on some level, but because my players had no idea of the setting or anything like that, and how to play the appropriate roles, they weren't having a good time, right? Because they didn't understand the point of the game that they were supposed to be playing. And that was one of my stories that I remember pretty heavily. Now we fixed it, and they figured it out, and I figured it out. But that's my failure point that I can think of. Yeah, I'm sure I've had more than one of those, but that's one of the ones I can think of. Starting with Scott.
The biggest one that I remember, the one that jumps to my mind the first and fastest, is not actually my failure. It was that I was running a West Marches style game, and so I was the head GM, and there were 3 other people who were also game mastering with me, so we were all in concert together. And one of them had a moment, and I wasn't at the table when it started, I got there at the end of it. And for whatever reason, something had happened in the story. A kid got taken hostage. The players were not able to save the kid fast enough, and he actually went ahead with it and killed off a child. And he felt so guilty about it, and it was so terrible. Players were weeping at the table, and I showed up and was very confused. I was like, what happened? I was quickly filled in, and almost immediately, I came and sat down with them and said, yeah, so here's what happened. And I tweak a couple of things in the back end, and I'm like, no, they made it look like that, and it was a blood sacrifice, but it didn't require the whole body. It didn't require, like, a still beating heart. It was like, yeah, no, we fix it. It's not impossible. It's still in the world of imagination, and we just cast another healing spell and we fix it. It was a moment of remembering the point is the fun. If it stops being fun, it's no longer a good game. So it doesn't matter if there are really high stakes or if there are no stakes at all. It matters that it's still entertainment. It's fine for it to have been a very serious moment and for them to have felt like there was real stakes in that moment, but also when I came up, they were all weeping and wailing, and he was feeling like he was never going to game master again. I was like, whoa, whoa, hold on. All of this is not how the game is played. So messed up. No. Stop.
I don't know what you're talking about. Any game that doesn't end in weeping and crying with West March is not a real game of West March.
Fair.
Okay, jump.
I've heard that called breaking the rubber band.
Oh,
So
I like that. That's a cool title.
you have to have tension in order for the game to be fun. Have to go back and forth. But if you get too much tension and the rubber band breaks, then there's crying and weeping and gnashing of teeth.
Okay.
Your
Speaking.
story reminds me of some of the horror stories that I used to hear about some Dungeons and Dragons players where they just, they just failed in the game and they end up killing themselves. If they only had you to explain and rectify the situation, things would have turned out a lot better.
See, the reason that my answer to the initial question was or question mark is like, no, of course I want to support them. I always want to support them. I'm not the one trying to kill them. That orc is trying to kill
Right.
you. That's on it, not me. You have to take the orc seriously. I'm gonna take both you and the orc seriously, but I'm just the rules, man. I play physics. When I am the god so much that I am physics itself, it's not like I can want to kill you. If I wanted you dead, you would already be dead. There's no way to get around that.
That's a great outlook. I love that. Stewart, jumping to you really quick. Kind of going back into the story from your point where you kind of like realized or saw that the need for kill the bad, support the good, that you would just mess that up terribly for a second.
I can't remember specifics, but this one interview that I was recording, and I aired later. I just missed my cue. My timing was off, and I said the wrong thing instead of saying something that should have related to the musician I was talking to. My program director was listening to the interview, and he said, and that's when he practically ignored you. And later on, when I was airing the interview, some girl called up. She said, "Could you stop talking?"
That's so rude, but dang, way to get called out immediately, live on air. Would you please shut up? Man, I'd be upset if someone called me mid session. Shut up! Stop talking, DM. Mike, jumping to you for our last question here, but or not last question, but last bit. Where was that kind of point where you had we'll say a failure at this, killing the good, supporting the bad? Sorry, other way around. Killing the bad, supporting the good. Or I guess in the situation where you killed the good and supported the bad, whatever.
I want to hear that.
Oh,
Yeah, right.
The best example I can think of is with neurology drills. They're taxing, and they kind of have to be dosed, or you can smoke people and cause them to do worse after doing the drills than they did before, simply because you used up all the glucose that they had available in their brain. And I've had mainly outdoor events with shooters where I'll have them do an assessment, usually a course of fire, and I'll be so darn excited about the drills that I'll have them do too many and smoke them, and then they'll be like just zombies trying to do the course of fire again afterwards and not do as well. And so in the trying to do good, I end up not doing good, end up doing bad.
I'm gonna use the term I smoked them. I smoked them people more often because that's a great descriptor for when you just have straight burnout from like making your players or other people make a whole bunch of decisions and come to conclusions and do the third grade riddles that they can't figure out too many times in a row. Uh, but kind of our last bit here because we're running low on time. Final thoughts, and then who you are, where people can find you, one last time. So I'm gonna just go straight in order, starting with Mike. Mike, what are your final thoughts on this topic we talked about? Anything you want to take away or talk about before you run away?
Oh, I think it takes a healthy dose of both.
Okay.
Maybe not kill, but you definitely have to push away the bad and pull in the good. And that's you do that enough times, you end up surrounded by really good people. You let in too many people who shouldn't be there. One or two or a few is fine. I mean, that's life. But if you get overwhelmed, then everything gets harder.
This sounds like an edited
So
version of Gatekeep Your Hobbies. Anyway, Mike, it's been great having you on. Where can people find you? One more time.
my book, ADHD Advantage, it goes into neurology drills that help people with focus, attention, inhibition, and sleep. In a lot of cases, in minutes or seconds, using neurology drills. And visiontraining.com. And then I've got a free live online training that people can do that has follow along drills at peakbrainreboot.com.
Fantastic. Love it all. Stewart, jumping over to you. Final thoughts. Anything you want to take away from this fun little conversation we've had tonight?
This entire thing is self-evident that you need some type of balance in life. Sure, it'd be great if everything was fast and easy, but this may sound like a religious verbatim, but sometimes you need the struggles to build your strength and make you learn.
Fantastic point. I love that. Good final thought. And then where can people find you? You got all kinds of fun stuff. So where's the best places to find you?
You can find all the information on me on my website, www.brodian.com, Brodian. You can hear me live on radio on Saturday evenings, 11 o'clock till 1 on WDIY FM. I'm also on Thursday afternoons from 1 to 4. And before I get to Scott, just want to share one quick story with him. While I was recording my first album, I came across a notebook with a song that I'd written, but I don't remember writing it. It's just a brief history. I started learning guitar in 79. My dad died in 81, and I started recording the album in 83. And I don't know when I wrote that song, and to this day, I still don't remember writing it. All I remember is when I saw the notebook, somehow I remembered sitting cross-legged on my bed facing the pillow with the notebook in front of me, and I just started strumming, and somehow I remembered how to play the song, even though I don't remember writing it. So it was just the side of that book that triggered the memory of the song, even though I don't to this day remember writing that song.
Gotta love brain stuff, man. It's so cool.
Ah, I
Yeah.
love
Scott,
it. I love
Scott,
it.
you're finishing off with final thoughts here. What you got for us?
My watchword is balance. I believe in it above all else, actually. So, Stewart mentioning that, really excellent, you know? I mean, absolutely. Balance in all things, and in all things, balance. So, in the end, you do want to kill them, but you don't want to kill them. It's important to remember you're playing your characters. You just have a lot more of them. So make it feel real. Make it feel like the dragon is real and scary and, you know, wants to eat them. And if they don't take that seriously, then let the dragon eat them. I mean, that's verisimilitude. That's how you make it feel real. But at the same time, you always want them to win. You should still support your players. You should still make sure that it's fun. Always make sure that it's fun. If that's the highest light, the guiding star, the one that you sail by for everything else, it will be a good game session. It doesn't matter if the rules get remembered or forgotten. Whatever happens, happens, but play the game. And remember, it's a game. Have fun.
Have fun. Fantastic.
And
And
like a way to deal with children.
and adults, to be 100% fair. When you're working with people ages 5 to 99, we all fit those categories. Scott, where can people find you?
Well, my book is called The Unbreakable Spirit: How to Survive, How to Thrive No Matter What Life Throws at You. I've got to be a co-author on that with about 20 other people. It was a great time. I loved it. And I have my website, scotticus.com. SCOTTICVS.com. If you add the slash and then say FAQ, those are my most frequently asked questions page, and that's the best place to begin hearing about me, because that's where I've written up my little story, because everybody always asks, so how did you get into hypnosis? And it's already there. I've told the story many times. I know that it's there.
There's a
I know that
lady
people like it.
named Shannon. All right. Jumping into the last thing for you guys. Last thing for us on our end for Epic Sages. Hey, it's still March somehow. We're almost over. We're doing an event this weekend at our local Carlson Center. Causing Havoc. We have a whole table set up for playing games this weekend. So if you're a local Yahoo, come swing by, say hi, come play games, all that fun stuff. Next weekend we're doing Dungeons and Flagons at the local college. So if you are wanting to hang out in the pub, drink beers, and play Dungeons and Dragons, we got you covered. Remember to buy your tickets ahead of time. And then for us on the store, it's Mario month for our dear Jared. So in honor of that, it's Mario907 as our discount code for the month. If you're on the website and want to get some cool dice or other cool things, 10% off using Mario907 on the website. Next week is our final session of Cosmere for our playthrough. So next Monday is our last one for this season. And then Jared's got his second session of Fallout on Wednesday. So stay tuned for all that fun stuff. And then before we get on out of here, what about, I need a number from the three of you between 1 and 10 that'll decide our exit song for the night.
7.
7. What else we got?
4.
4. 7, 4. All right, I got 2 good numbers. What's our last number there, Scott?
I roll for it, and I also have gotten a 7. So.
Another 7. All right. Well, with the 4 minus the 7, we get the. Oh, okay. Well, this is appropriate for tonight. Anyway, with Adventure in Mind, have a wonderful time. Talk to you later. Bye.
The maps of the 70s lay, the music's in the queue. Oh, storms of no, please, oh God, make biscuit room too. I rode a town with 14 shots in each a little thread. A baker with a secret cult and guards to wake the dead. A noble with a poison ring he swears he never wore. 3 blokes hiding in a crate behind the tavern door. But what if they decide instead to rob a passing mule and never meet the widow who knows why the river's cruel? Before dice are rolled, before fate is told, before my plans unfold, before they grin and I begin to lose my careful hold. I sit behind the flimsy screen and tyrant feeling small with the continents and the histories written up along the wall. Please talk to Finn the ferryman, he took me hours to mold before dice are rolled. Before dice are rolled. I name the trees, I map the breeze, I time the tavern song. I know which chair will slip in first when something goes quite wrong. The blacksmith is off, his blood relevant, his hammer strikes in the cold. There's foreshadowing in the way the stable lantern glowed. But they last so long, God, I forgot to fully make. And now we see from somewhere east who really likes to bake. Before dice are rolled, before fate is told, before my plans unfold, before they grin and I begin to lose my careful hold. I breathe into my cup of tans like summoning a spell with continents and histories and double on the wall. Please talk to Finn the ferryman, he took me hours to mold before dice are rolled. Before dice are rolled. I've practiced voices in the car, I heard dramatic turns. I know which NPC betrays and which one slowly burns. There's tragedy in every brick, in every alley bend. A masterpiece of quiet clues they'll never comprehend, because they'll fixate on the cat I mentioned as a joke. And now it's Lord Whiskerford, heir to the elder folk. before dice are rolled, before fate is told, before my plans unfold, before they grin and I begin to lose my careful hold. I grip my nose like holy text, waiting for the call with continents and histories written up along the wall. Please talk to Finn the ferryman, he took me hours to mold before dice are rolled. Before dice are rolled. The minis wait, the pencils shake, the snacks are set in bowls. I take a breath and smile. All right, everyone. Roll for initiative.
Ta-da!